To The Rollup.
We'll see you around the timeline. Feels good to be back.
I think The Rollup is one of the most premier media brands in crypto, and Andy and Robbie are great experts at everything they talk about, and it's my favorite podcast.
Adding it to my library as we speak.
Potentially multi-chain deployments.
We are at DevConnect Day 1 here. I'm with Jesse from Venice. JP Morgan, BlackRock, DTCC, Fidelity, the entire thing was just institutions. It's next level. This industry is going to the next level. And guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm bullish.
He said it, he finally said it.
I'm so bullish.
Andy's bullish, I'm bullish, we're bullish. Is headed to the top. If we're not already at the top, we're going to the top.
We're going.
The Rollup is my favorite.
From all walks of life, all over the world, all over this industry, come together for the roll-up.
Zoom out. The institutions aren't coming. They're simply here. It's the golden age of crypto, guys. Get right. Let's go.
Welcome to the nest. See you on the show.
Let's get it, man. Welcome back to The Rollup, ladies and gentlemen. I believe Hyperliquid is going to flip Solana in price on this stream. Rob, welcome. Welcome. Great to have you as always, man. Welcome. Started laughing. They were not happy about that appearance. Welcome back to Tokenization Tower, the Nest, broadcasting live from the financial capital of the world. You're watching The Rollup. Today is June 3rd. Is a beautiful day in New York City. We would not be here without our friends at Plume powering their Nest product, on-chain asset management built for you guys on-chain. Guys, we had a fun show yesterday, and we will continue to have fun while, things out there aren't so fun. I mean, guys, what is Bitcoin's at? It's 65.7, still under those levels. My goodness. Wow. And Hype is 50 cents away from flipping Sol in price, which is wow. Yeah, it's definitely a wow. Yeah, Rob. So market this morning was like super hot, came out swinging, and then Bitcoin just can't find its footing. It cannot find its footing. So, what a show yesterday per Gamma Squeeze. It's biblical that, capital flows comes on and PER is down 7% the next day. That's just like classic crypto behavior. But yeah, bro, beautiful day up here in New York. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Yep. Yeah. I agree. All right, guys, let's get into today's topics and the weather and the markets and keep this thing rolling. We are live from the Tokenization Tower. We got that today. We've got markets and weather live from New York. Jords is going to join the show. He's a big Hyperliquid bull. We're going to talk to him about his thesis, what he's been seeing out there, what he's been doing. And we got Or's founder, who is a privacy project. And we're going to get him in. We're going to talk to him about what's happening there and talk about privacy on Solana. And yeah, should be a good show.
Yeah.
As always, today's topics is powered by Trezor. Use code ROLLUP10 at trezor.io to get yourself a hardware wallet today. Guys, do not use a hotware wallet.
Awesome. We are here. We've got a great show, making sure that the audience can hear me because I've got a lot to say and we've got a great show for you guys. Let's get into it. Before we do, I believe we are going to tell you guys about our stablecoin sponsor, Frax. Let's go ahead and talk to you guys about open, stable, borderless money. It is Frax. These guys are going to be coming to the studio this week. Lots coming up on this side. Very, very excited. Let's go.
Thank you, White Millionaire, for the heads up there. It is 79 degrees in New York City. It is a beautiful day. As always, our weather is powered by our friends at relay.link. We're going to run through this real quick. I can already see it's a beautiful day out there in Florida. As always, let's move into the markets. Before we do, let me tell you about Denari, our tokenized equities partner here on the show, powering U.S. equities on-chain. Visit denari.com, guys, to learn more about on-chain access to public markets. Guys, Bitcoin's at 65.9. Ethereum's at 1826. Another media company, Milk Road, just announced that they have one of their analysts sold all their ETH. So I don't know why. Like, David Hoffman's getting yelled at for selling all of his ETH. Solana's at $72. Like, wow. Guys, Hype is about to flip Sol. Hype is at 72.15. Sol's at 72.7. We've been saying this for a while. I don't own any Solana, and it's just this flip is going to happen. It might happen on the show today. So I don't think it's too late still to move out of the old world and into the new world. But yeah, the other big situation, Rob, is Stretch, STRC. The MicroStrategy stablecoin, or the MicroStrategy dividend yield product, is down to some of the lowest levels it's been since August, since its launch. I'm gonna pull it up now. It's trading at 95.
And obviously,
flat.
this thing is meant to be a stablecoin, so the dividend is variable while the price is fixed. This is kind of what's different enough for this product, which makes it a little bit
And it's
unique. People
not-
loved it when it was going well, but obviously now that stablecoin has fallen off peg, if you will.
Yeah. And then Near. Near's trading at 3.05, 3.08 this morning, pulling back a bit. It's up 12% today. I mean, Near bulls are winning. I mean, that was the title of the stream. Near bulls are winning. We had Mando come on yesterday and tell us how bullish he is on Near. So, as always, guys, our digital assets market is powered by Zama. Building confidential blockchain infrastructure using fully homomorphic encryption, bringing privacy to on-chain applications. Check out Zama.org. Equities, kind of mixed, still strong. I mean, we're seeing an insane rally in AI stocks and everything that's happening there. Oil's kind of up a little bit today, a little bit elevated. You don't want to see that. Crypto is just, Bitcoin is just struggling. Majors are really, really, really struggling. So, all right, guys, let's get into the news. Rob, I know we have a lot to cover, but before we do, let me tell you about Near, the blockchain designed for AI native applications and autonomous agents. Start developing today at near.org. You gotta love the dog bark in the back. Rob wanted to pull up this post first, and I can see why. Because, guys, if you've been watching the show, and guys, I see you on YouTube in the chat or on Twitter, say what's up. We will answer your questions, and we will rock with you guys. Ansem says, new thesis. Alt season, while Bitcoin chops itself to death, peak froth in 4 to 6 weeks before the bottom falls out on majors and we make new lows. Yo, new type, what's up? Do you agree with this? Right? This is what's been happening, but we are speed running Ansem's take here. We are speed running this because if you look at this chart, this was posted June 1st, so on Monday, literally, on Wednesday, we're already at the bottom of the swiggle. Yeah. We're literally at the $65,000 mark on the screen. And I mean, is that it? Hello, everyone. Hello, Niang Chan. We're trying to figure out if we're in alt season or if we're literally just about to fall out. Rob, what's your take here?
This is a new paradigm. We've never seen these market conditions before where macro and majors are struggling as much as they are, and a very select cohort of assets is doing very, very well, pushing monthly highs, yearly highs. In the case of Near, you even have things like WorldCoin doing extremely well. Athena is up 40%.
Why is WorldCoin pumping? Is that just like a Sam Altman IPO?
It's everything with AI. It's the AI bottleneck trade. People are looking to hedge OpenAI world dominance in the surveillance state. So they're buying WorldCoin, they're buying Near, they're buying Venice. These things are all related. They're all part of the AI bottleneck trade. And people are looking for that in crypto and not looking for it in equities because equities are all, they're all flying as well. So, how sustainable is this? We've always seen how Bitcoin chopping tends to produce, or a range-bound Bitcoin market tends to produce the most favorable conditions for altcoins.
But it's usually in bullish phases, not in this phase.
Exactly. Not when it's a high time frame
bear market.
Yeah.
Jingo says if his prediction was alt season and Bitcoin shop, well, then that's not really what we've had. New type says we got to find a better term, Rob. I mean, this is what you just said. It's not alt season. It's right. It's not just throw a dart at the wall and make money. It's definitely coin picking season. It's trying to figure out it's actually the most straightforward market ever.
Very uncorrelated.
Near, Zcash, Hyperliquid, now lighter a bit, and Venice. But really, it's those first three in Venice. And then you got lighter kind of picking up a bit now. Mm-hmm. WorldCoin picking up big. Humanity Protocol was absolutely flying. So you got kind of these, the way that Arthur said it on the show was you've got the winners, and then there's always going to be the dogs, and the dogs will run. But he's got his bet on the winners and the leaders, and the dogs will always run. Lighter's kind of the dog to hype. Mm-hmm. You could even say Zama is kind of the dog to Zcash. Mm-hmm. You could say that there's a couple other of these.
WorldCoin is the dog to Near.
To Venice almost?
Or Venice, yeah, exactly.
Or Grass is the dog. Bro, ZRO, bottom is also in. That tweet they put out basically said VCs are in. I agree, but I know that I don't necessarily actually agree. I don't know what's going to happen there because they have that massive hack they still have to work through. And that's not going to be an easy thing just to work through.
I mean, that was like an Oracle or Bridge 1010 Like that caused some fractures in the market structure that I think are going to be felt for some time in their business.
I agree.
And that's going to cause some knock-on effects.
It's not going to be that like simple and straightforward.
Andy, I think we got to just boil this down to like, do we agree with Ansem here or do we not? And maybe it's too early to tell, but I want to believe that honestly, even though Bitcoin is such a major asset to this market class, I want to believe that people are moving out of Bitcoin and going into Zcash. They're moving out of these assets and going into more fundamental ones. And I want to believe that if we do get some high market cap runners, it's not like Zcash near, these things are top 20. Zcash, I think, is 14. Last time we saw, Hype is top 10 now. Zcash is number 13. Hyperliquid is number 10. Near is number 29. WorldCoin is 51. These things aren't low market caps where alt season, could sometimes, come from that like very uncorrelated, very bottom of the barrel risk curve market. These are like medium market caps, like medium to high market caps here. Carrying billions of dollars of valuation. These things are enough to potentially offset the fractures that we're seeing in the Bitcoin market. And I think we could see this. Typically, the rising tide comes from Bitcoin because that's kind of all you need in order to move some real capital. And then you kind of get this wealth effect that flows into the rest. But if you get a collective rising tide from,
these five names or whatever, these four names.
Near, I mean, if you total up those market caps, I would have to do the math, but I think you're what? Hyperliquid, you're looking at
100 billion, maybe
100 billion.
Yeah, close to it. Depends on how you count. And look, I just want to believe that Bitcoin is going to hit a bottom sometime soon and like be able to get back up to the 70s, come back down to the 60s again. That would be fine. That would be ideal for this scenario. What we can't have happen is this bottom to fall out like now. Like if the bottom falls out now, we're in deep trouble. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think Bitcoin's going to find some sort of bottom this month. It's going to have a little bit of a bullish June, bullish July, and then from there we realized like either we're screwed further and we need to go lower, or that was it. And those are kind of the two scenarios. Zcash stops producing blocks for 4 hours and price didn't drop. I think this is a terrible situation, but market doesn't give a F. I know, but I think that was fake news.
Really?
I think that was fake news.
Fake news on the Zcash hard fork?
Yeah. Merck said you can literally just go check the chain. These guys are aggregated news slop. It did not happen. So I saw that too this morning and I was like, yikes. Rocky, what up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, so Rob, I agree. I think that we just cannot have the bottom fall out here. And who is the problem here? Let's go ahead and flip to the next screen. It is this guy. It is this guy at the forefront of causing this thing right now with his, people are saying that he took the most uncalculated risk with his stretch product, and he didn't need to do all of that, and it's causing some serious issues. Down 8.5 billion. I think now Tom Lee's down like 9 billion as well. It's not great. It's not great. So I don't know what we want to see here for Saylor, but he's been through a lot more than this. He's struggled a lot harder than this, Rob. I think he's going to be fine. But, it's funny that Chris put out that tweet that was like, they'll blame Saylor, but really it was always on the cards. And like everyone's literally blaming Saylor right now.
Yeah. And look, we know that the 32 Bitcoin sale isn't going to move a $1 trillion asset like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it does signal to the market that he is open to selling. He needs to fund these dividends. And even though he is funding these dividends, the market doesn't like it. Stretch is selling off. I think it's at 95%, of par. And so Stretch doesn't like it. Bitcoin doesn't like it. And this is a potentially cascading vicious cycle that could get triggered.
You just don't want to see it, You just don't want to see it. You just do not want to see this.
And it's okay if there's a catalyst that would offset these sales with some more institutional buying power, but We're not.
They're going to
we're not-
wait.
what is
They're going to
that
wait
catalyst?
till lower. The institutions are going to see Bitcoin in the 60s. They probably already see this right now, and they're like, I'm interested. But if this thing gets lower, they're going to be really, really, really interested. And look, man, I hate to say it, but I don't want to own an asset that Saylor owns 3% of. I don't want to own an asset that Tom Lee owns 5% of. I'm sorry. Those just don't feel like what I signed up for.
I'm going to push back a little bit on at least the Tom Lee thing is easier to push back on, and I think there is probably similar effects to Bitcoin, although we haven't quite seen it yet from Saylor. The pushback I have on Tom Lee is that Ethereum Foundation is reducing its power and its stronghold in the ecosystem. Typically, you had that organization owning significant portions of the network, upwards of 5%. And so we effectively have Bitmine replacing the Ethereum Foundation. And we heard Tom Lee recently at Proof of Talk in Paris say that he is interested in funding development programs, funding grants, and continuing to push the ecosystem forward.
But the same guy's saying 250,000 because tokenization and AI companies are going to become Ethereum validators.
I could see it. Honestly, I could see it. And
yeah, but you're riding this train down. Of course you could see it, man.
Here's the parallel. Hyperliquid has been able to do this by not incentivizing any of those outside companies. They come in, they stake the treasury companies that you're bag biased towards. They're coming in and they have no incentive to do that other than the asset itself. Tom Lee is the exact same thing for the Ethereum ecosystem. The only difference is that Hype didn't have a foundation beforehand for the treasury company to come in and take its spot. Ethereum started out with the Ethereum Foundation.
Rocky,
and
tell us.
Now Bitmine is taking place of that. And so it's the same exact
new
thing.
type. Should Rob sell his ETH for Hype? Should Rob sell his ETH for Hype?
More and more
Guys,
of these companies are going to come in. They're not incentivized to do so based out of their entirely own volition. They come in, they buy up the asset, and then they start to make contributions to the ecosystem. Saylor's missing that. Shouldn't Saylor be contributing to Quantum? Shouldn't
Guys,
he be
tell us if Rob should sell his ETH bags for Hype. Should Rob sell his ETH bags for Hype? All right, guys, we're going to get into...
Hold on. I have one thing to say about that, which is because of the recent price performance, my Hype bag is bigger than my ETH bag right now.
Wow. Let's go, man. Guys, Hype is 35 cents from flipping Sol. I'm telling you, it's going to happen on the stream today. In other news, the stock market just keeps ripping, and there's a wild phenomenon happening of just the types of ownerships of these equities. We're going to get into our daily equity segment powered by our friends over at Denari. Let's get into that. Let's talk about the stock market a little bit and what's happening there. This is a stat that I was not necessarily expecting. Foreigners own 19% of US stocks. The US equity market ownership has undergone a historic shift. Foreign investors now own a record 20 trillion or 19% of all US equities. This percentage has nearly tripled since 2000. This has been part of this kind of like push away from emerging markets back into the US, but actually that trend is kind of like reversing back into emerging markets. Furthermore, passive mutual funds and ETFs hold $17 trillion, an all-time high, accounting for 15% of all of US equity ownership. So this is like your mom, your dad, their 401k, their pension, their S&P 500 with their advisor type of thing. Since 2008 crisis, passive fund ownership again has tripled. Why? Because these advisors have came in, made a ton of money, and they've just done that by basically allocating, mom and pop into the S&P, and they've done extremely well. And if you scroll down a bit, you can see that over the same period, the weight of active mutual funds has also increased significantly. And so, look, at the end of the day, we're firmly seeing equity ownership increase. We're seeing boomers get rich off of equities. We're seeing equity market fly. It's insane. Let's go ahead and check out the full graph. And New Type says 100% sell your ETH for Hype.
So on what we have on the screen here, ownership share of U.S. corporate equities. You see mutual funds trending down, foreign investors trending up, passive mutual funds trending up. And so what we have here is that active mutual funds selling off, but obviously passive continues to accumulate. Foreign, I have two things to say here. One is that my prediction is that this foreign proportion of investment continues to rise. I think right now it's 19%. I think we ultimately get to a point that is upwards of 30%. And the reason being is because if you look at the treasury market right now, about 30% of US treasuries are owned by foreigners. The last table that was issued by the Fed said that out of the 30 or so trillion dollars of treasuries that are outstanding, foreign holders own about $9.35 trillion of US treasury securities. That's as of March 2026. That's about 30%. And so we can also extract, also what we have here is that about 3.9%, or excuse me, $3.9 trillion of that 9 trillion is foreign official holdings, meaning central banks. So about 30% of the US treasuries overall are owned by foreigners. About 30% of that is owned by central bank foreign governments. I think we're going to continue, what we're going to see is that start to seep into the equities market. And so I think as equities continue to rise, the bond market is a bit out of whack. We're going to see a transition from US Treasury holders, in foreign owners of US Treasury holders into foreign ownership of US equities. I think tokenized equities are going to accelerate this. And I think two things are going to have to happen. Or I think we're going to have to replace the ownership of the treasuries, right? If they choose to move from US treasuries into something like gold, which is what we already saw happen, or move foreign ownership, move from US treasuries into US equities, someone's going to need to buy the US debt, right? And stable coins have been kind of like the cohort of companies that we believe are going to come in and kind of save the day when the US needs to issue its debt. That still remains to be seen, but ultimately this is what's happening. I think the question to ask here is this a problem? Is it a problem that we have so much foreign ownership of US equities?
I don't have an answer for you.
I mean,
what I will tell you is that Sol's gonna lose to hype on the stream.
My gut says that it's not a problem right now. I think we've still got a long way to go. I think we want American investors invested in the American economy first and foremost, but I don't think it's necessarily a problem if we can increase this proportion a little bit and we get foreign investors involved in the US economy as well, and we get broad distribution for this. I mean, if you think,
I actually think that there's going to be a shift back towards emerging markets. The EEM index is breaking out of 20-year highs. That's EEM on any stock brokerage that you can look at. And there's been this kind of redistribution of power away from the US, away from kind of other jurisdictions. So that'll be interesting to see. Guys, this is our daily equity show powered by Denari. Let's give them some love, guys. They are absolutely crushing with their D-Shares product. Guys, we're going to get back into the news. Before we do, let me tell you about Infinify, our DeFi partner, building DeFi infrastructure for simpler access to on-chain yield, liquidity, and capital allocation. For more efficient on-chain finance, visit infinify.xyz. The dogs are out. I largely think of crypto as a failed asset class. Wow. What a take. I think I responded to this and said sideline, ? So Kruger's a pretty big macro investor, has done very well for himself. And basically the point that he's making here is that most crypto assets are worthless or have dreadful value accrual. And most founders have absolutely abused the lack of guardrails and made a ton of money, right? And so guys, if you've been following the show for the last several months, we have been hammering in the chat, talking to you guys about this, telling you guys that we have a very small set of tokens that we're in, that we believe in, and why. Well, we tweeted revenue meta a year and a half ago. We tweeted return to fundamentals way too many times, and it's just what's happening. There are not that many investable assets in the space. Like, trust me, this doesn't get me more sponsorship dollars by saying that there's only so many assets that I'm interested in. Trust me, it doesn't help me in my business. But what happens is if you don't adjust to this, and if we don't force this change on the industry, we're never gonna get out of what Alex is saying. So until we as an industry come together and accept and bid like we're doing right now, Hype, Venice is making a ton of money, Grass is doing well, this company or that's coming on it is doing well. Lighter's doing well. Aerodrome's doing well. There's a bunch of these tokens that are making money. Sky's doing well. And they're actually reallocating that money back to the assets. We're never going to get away from this, but this is exactly what all of us have been feeling for, I mean, I don't know how long. It's been months to years that we've been feeling this way. It's been depressing. It's been not what we came here for. And this is also part of the thesis that is like adoption goes up, but prices don't. I think that's why you're seeing some of the majors pull back. Fortunately, in the last couple of months, we've actually had some positive price appreciation. So there's something to talk about here. But yeah, I mean, this take is something that all of us are realizing, and that is why you're seeing the capital flow into where it is. If you're not making money, if you don't have a real path to revenue, if you don't have a damn good story, if you don't have good tokenomics, if you don't have a founder that actually knows what they're doing and is, trustworthy in public, and if you don't have a real institutional appeal, ETFs, ETPs, a plan for institutional adoption, you're going to just be stuck in this old era. And that's the reality of it. And so from the allocator's perspective, right, like what is our job? While speculators and allocators, they don't really control, they're not necessarily builders and founders, we can vote with our capital. And I am just glad to see that we are voting with our capital right now. And we are, this is literally what the chat is saying. Isn't Hype making more revenue than ETH? This isn't rocket science. Just buy the tokens that are making money. Like, I know it's not that like black and white, but like, at least if we're voting with our capital, then that's how we can vote. So that's my take on this.
I love a good rant from Andy. Yes. Also, the comment about, not shilling random nonsense tokens helping our sponsorship dollars.
Trust me, guys. Saying that there's only a couple tokens to buy does not help our business.
It's so real. It's so real. Look, I think I think crypto Twitter, which if you guys know me, you know my feelings about crypto Twitter.
Not a big CT guy at all.
It's such a reductive cesspool of toxicity because people read this and they think that Alex's take is bearish. And it's obviously rage baiting people by saying crypto is a failed asset class for sure. But if you actually read the post, what it's saying is that there is categories, this boiling, brewing, like brouhaha underneath the surface of the slop that is actually what he calls like the beginning, the new beginnings. And he calls out all of the same narratives and cohorts that we talk about on this show. It's revenue, privacy, and AI. And this is all we've been talking about with respect to the digital asset class in the last few months. And so what he says, and he ends it by saying crypto is dead, long live crypto. He's saying that crypto super bullshit cycle, meme coin, gamble, fi, slop is dead.
Yep.
Insider VC dump fest is dead. Yep. Low float, high FDV is dead. And then he says, long live crypto. And what he says is long live revenue producing companies that pass value back to its token holders. Yep. Long live private crypto cypherpunk ideals, libertarian ideals that are giving real privacy, real sovereignty to an underbanked, underserved population. Long live that. Long live AI in decentralized, sovereign, open source, not explicit, not selling your data to the cloud overlords, crypto. Long live that. And so there are these things that have always been here, but they get covered up by the slop and the buzzwordy, money grabbers, the bull market warriors, as we like to call them. That is dead. And I'm so glad the market is now realizing this. And you're right, voting with their capital, voting with our capital away from these things and going into the things that have been here all along, but have been covered up and are now making a new resurgence. It's very, very exciting because it feels like we're returning to our roots. And this is something that I think...
And that is the only way that we're gonna get a pump, guys, is if we return to the roots. Like, this is like very compelling from an investment thesis. Like, being able to put your money into Zcash and like have Uncle Sam not be able to see it is like very compelling. Being able to like do cross-chain private transactions, very compelling. taking over the entire complex right behind me here down in Wall Street.
And Rugrat here in the chat is right. The market is maturing. This is signs of a maturing market. What's immature is when meme coin dog with hat goes parabolic and you're like, what is happening? This is irrational. What we have now is a much more mature, sophisticated market. It's uncorrelated. And we're seeing the winners separate from the losers. We're seeing the real, mature, legitimate projects separate and outperform from the slop. And that's what you want to do. That's where you want to allocate your capital, not financial advice, because that is ultimately the real businesses that are sustainable for decades. And that is where you should be allocating your capital. The other thing
I just got a text says hype about the flip soul from my brother.
The other thing to notice in this post is he says these are more, and he mentions stable coins, more pro crypto regulatory environment, TradFi's tokenizing, equities, commodity perps, prediction markets. These are more blockchain than crypto. This is the other thing we've been saying. It's blockchain, not crypto. It's blockchain. It's blockchain, not Bitcoin. It's Ethereum, not ETH. It's Hyperliquid. Everyone's saying it's Hyperliquid and hype because the token's a product when it comes to that. But all of these things are happening. I think, you have to look at the assets that are more aligned with the value accrual mechanisms of their ecosystem. And look, someone in the chat said, Hyperliquid's making more money than ETH. That is true, but ETH is still making a good amount of money. It's still making, relative to almost all of the other ecosystems out there, quite a bit of revenue. That revenue is not
at best.
I mean, we can pull up the actual numbers. I
says it's
think it's probably
ironic.
in the top 3 or top 5 revenue producing, companies, revenue apps, protocols, whatever networks.
No.
I mean, we can just look this up right now.
Okay.
Let's see.
It's also ironic because returning to the roots is eventually going to bring us back to cypherpunk ways. I don't see that happening for a while. I agree. That is where the market is going. That is the bid. It is democratizing the finance with Hyperliquid and Lighter. It is privacy with Near and Zcash and kind of some of the others. And then it's like a lot of the, kind of private, uncensored AI inference trade, Venice, Grass, some of these others that are like actually making money and doing things in the AI world.
Okay, so it looks like
Hype is better than ETH.
Tether, Circle are both making more money than Hyperliquid.
Oh yeah. Pump.fun's up there, Hype's up there.
Yeah, Canton, it says is up there, but that's a little weird. Polymarket's up there, Grayscale, Base, Sky, Paxos, Jupiter, Phantom,
okay, guys,
and then you get into...
Hype is 4 cents from Flipping Soul. Jords is about to come on in 5 minutes. Sorry, Rob. Where's ETH at?
It's down there underneath those, about 20.
Cooked. GG's.
About 20.
Run up the DeFi Llama fact check time. Yeah, dude. ETH is not making any money. And Rob, your dilemma of like, let's scale the chain that Stellar people got so mad about. Let's scale the chain to infinite TPS, and then let's have our business model be the same thing as let's make money off fees. It's like, that's like us saying like we're trying to scale the rollup, and how we're gonna scale the rollup is by having hundreds of clients, but not charging them as much as we would charge for, one client currently, or even like we're gonna charge less than 1/100th of a current client, but we're gonna get 100 clients.
Look, you could also say AI companies are hyper scaling token production, and their business model is selling tokens.
Oh my gosh, dude, Hype is so close to Flipping Soul. We have we have Jords coming up. Jords is like a semi-retired or fully retired Hyperliquid bull, I think. Probably talking like 8 figs to 9 figs.
How do you retire from Hyperliquid?
I don't know. That's his Twitter bio literally says retired. And he's going to talk to us about the Hype trade. And it did flip. It did flip. Somebody just commented because his quote tweet of the stream was jumping on this in 10 minutes. I think Hype's going to flip Soul while I'm on it. We're going to get it confirmed here in a bit. And yeah, why don't we keep it moving off of Kruger here and Ethereum before we get Rob all riled up about his ETH position again? That tends to happen a lot.
Dude, I told you my Hype position is bigger than my ETH position.
All right, what do we got? We got Gary V saying Gary V is a Japanese soldier here saying he's still bullish on NFTs. There's an enormous amount of greed in NFT culture, and including yourself, Gary, in the run of 2021, 2022, grossly underpriced. All right, let's play this damn video. This is gonna be something, man. Wow. All right, Gary. Standing up for your bags. I love it.
Literally yesterday, I had lunch with someone and I showed them that $400,000 worth of Bored Apes were bought in the last 24 hours. They were on the ground stunned. They and 99% of the world think NFTs were scams and a fad. That person who's incredibly successful and a proper business person, I said to them, you're shocked, right? They said, yeah. I said, you didn't think there was $400,000 sold of NFTs in the last 30 days, period, let alone one project in the last 24 hours. He said, absolutely. Reminds me a lot of the internet in 2000 when all the stock prices collapsed. Greed will always set something back. There was an enormous amount of greed in NFT culture in that 12-month, 24-month window that ultimately hurt it. But what I saw is what's happening today. It's a collectible. And I do believe, like I said, in August of 2021, that 99% of NFTs will be worth zero. But I believe that means 1% will not. Right. And I believe based on where NFTs are right now, whatever the 1% are, and I do not claim to know, though I do think CryptoPunks is one for sure.
Now might be a good time to pick up a CryptoPunk, but that's not the point that I was going to make. My point when it comes to NFTs here is that Gary's actually right, but not for the reason that he thinks. NFTs are going to make a comeback, but they're going to be for RWAs. And there's going to be KYC, AML, metadata embedded into some of these like equity-like products that end up on chain, because you need that when you're dealing with regulated products. And the best token format, token contract standard for that is an NFT. And so Gary's talking about, mutant apes or Bored Apes or whatever NFT Gary's selling. He's talking about digital art, and maybe that does come back. It would be cool. There's some cool art out there, but Gary's right, because RWAs need the NFT token contract standard. And that's where we're going to see NFTs come back soon. Maybe that makes some noise. Maybe digital art comes back after that, but it's going to take years.
Yeah, I saw Ralph House started a digital art fund, and I need exit liquidity is what Gary's talking about. Yeah, I agree. New type, although I think he's done just well for himself. I wouldn't pin him down that hard, but I don't think that 400K in 24-hour period, we're talking about a market here, is all that impressive. LOL at Hype is going to flip sold. Do we need to revert to 2014 to have a market cap versus price discussion? Price actually means nothing in the bigger picture. I mean, dude, it's not like we actually think that like it's flipping by market cap. It's just more of like a milestone thing and like a clear evidence of the turning of the tide. So no judgmental 6630. We don't need to have a market cap versus price discussion. However, I think your soul bags are showing, and
I think
it's not too late
if we want to have that discussion, we got to get a Ripple Maxi up here to have that discussion.
Oh God. NFTs have value, but I'm valuing them as very nice golf club memberships. Yes, but without the ability to play golf. All right, let's get to Laura Shin here. She's actually, before we do, let me tell you about our premier cross-chain partner, LeFi, bridging infrastructure for cross-chain swaps, bridging and routing across the on-chain economy. Visit Lee.fi for smoother cross-chain execution on-chain. So Laura that says that there is misguided optimism directed towards Hyperliquid on CT. This order has no effect on Hyperliquid. The order I believe they're talking about is the CFTC rule for perps onshore in the US. And let's watch this video to hear what these ladies have to say about it. Hard to say that any positive regulation doesn't help Hype. Javid says that entities were to come back, which chain do you think would benefit the most? Definitely Ethereum. Definitely Ethereum.
I do think there was misguided optimism with the price of Hype and directed towards Hyperliquid on crypto Twitter, because to be clear, this order has no effect on Hyperliquid or any other perps dexes. And if anything, arguably, there's another contingent saying this is actually very bad news for Hyperliquid and perps dexes, because it does mean arguably a whole bunch of flow will move from the offshore perps dex market to trade on these DCMs who can now have true perps.
I mean, they were very smart to put out a positive statement about it, right? Because that obviously helped the token. And it seems like from what you're saying and from what I agree with is they're not effed and they're not also like the winner, but the story maybe has changed in some way. And they're going to have to decide whether they want to live in the regulatory arbitrage space, which is getting smaller and smaller, and really have to prove decentralization, or lean into the regulated space.
Oh
and
my
that
God.
Let's
is
hear
a
the, let's hear the
super
take, Andy.
space.
Man.
Let's hear the take.
Oh my gosh. Dude, the creator of NASDAQ, no, not the creator, the
Of New York
CEO
Stock Exchange.
of the NYSE says that Hyperliquid is bigger than NASDAQ and they are trying to find ways to work together. These things are just have you ever tried to trade on like Robinhood or on like some of these platforms? Like Thread Guy does a great job with this where he's like, dude, I tried to trade on Robinhood and I had to KYC. My funds took 3 days to deposit and the options were impossible to figure out. It was terrible. And I'm never leaving Hyperliquid again. Like, do you think either of these people have actually ever traded on Hyperliquid? Like, have they ever deposited $1 on there? Because it's not a regulatory game. It is a product game. It is a product game, and it is a superior product to a lot of brokerages, a lot of mobile apps, a lot of neobanks. On top of that, if there is positive regulatory action in the US for perps, why would Hyperliquid not be a benefactor of this? Like, it's obvious. Now, sure, you could say the CME is going to get in the game and they're going to, maybe traders will choose to trade there rather, but no, there are so many reasons why there's going to be more money coming into Hyperliquid. You got funding rate arbitrage. You've got 24/7 global liquidity. You've got no KYC. You have less sophisticated market makers. There's just so many reasons why this is not a great take, but I do understand it. Like, I understand, like, all right, right now there's no competition for perps. And if they make it legal, then the Hyperliquid loses its regulatory advantage. But I think this is definitely a win for all perps dexes on chain. And like, the regulatory risk was like they were going to ban these things. Now we're talking like the regulatory risk is like, oh, maybe the NASDAQ and CME will get more liquidity and users because they can, and Hyperliquid won't win as much. It's like we've moved the goalpost from like, perp dexes are going to be banned in the States to like, oh, maybe they might not make as much money.
Well,
like,
okay. Andy, let me ask you a question. If it's Saturday afternoon, 2:30, and I'm an oil trader, and Trump puts a tweet out about the Strait of Hormuz, am I going to trade oil markets on Hyperliquid, or am I going to trade oil markets on CME?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the question is probably like, I think the answer is probably like, where's the price better? Where can I get better execution? Where does my firm allow me to trade?
What do you prefer?
What do you prefer? And I think there's a moat that incumbents have, where the infrastructure is already built. They already have the access controls. There's a lot of like just, institutional bloat and vendor lock-in around some of these exchanges. And the more entrenched that some of these businesses are, the more likely they are to choose some of their existing venues, like the CME, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, et cetera. The more nimble ones may be able to pivot and use Hyperliquid because it is a better UI, better execution, maybe even a better price. But there's some people that are going to be vendor locked into those other exchanges. It's going to take some time for them to get set up. And I think Hyperliquid could, depending on how this regulatory environment progresses, Hyperliquid could have some, obviously the other guys have a first mover advantage because they are vendor locked in. But when it comes to perps, Hyperliquid could gain on that and scoop up some market share because they're already live. But it does depend on the implementation details. Is Hyperliquid going to choose to get more decentralized, get some validators going, and kind of like build out the network decentralization in that way, and then they don't have to, adhere to some of the broker licensures regulations that are necessary? Or are they going to build out like Binance US, right?
Yeah.
TikTok US and then TikTok, right? These are separate organizations. They fragment the liquidity. They separate these things out.
Yep.
Are we going to see a Hyperliquid US venue where we do have more regulations in effect? You do have to KYC. You do have to, do some OFAC compliance checks. And then we're going to have, Hyperliquid proper where everyone else trades. Maybe it is better prices, but it's not regulated and permissionless.
I don't think there's going to be a bifurcation. I think it's going to be all in one, and that's going to be the beauty of the regulatory clarity that we get. That'd be my take.
But then the one that's all in one, is it going to be regulated or not?
It will be it's just gonna whatever Hyperliquid, whatever the on-chain perp dexes are doing. I anticipate them to kind of blend in with whatever's happening. I don't think that they're gonna have to make that many changes. Is my take.
You don't think they're going to have to KYC? And the US is going to allow them to serve their products to US customers without doing KYC?
I don't know. I don't know actually. So I don't know. But what I do know, Rob, is that we have Jords, a retired Hyperliquid bull, coming up on the show, and he is a big fan of Hype. He's a big Twitter guy, and this would be a fun conversation, guys. So Jords is obviously, been an early adopter of the technology, a big, I've been a big fan of his content as well. And so this should be fun because, we're going to flip Sol on the show. We're now a little bit more than $1 away. So, we had a chance there, and now it's looking a little bit shiesty. So let's get Jords up. Let's see what's going on. Let's try to flip Sol on the show. What do you say, Rob?
Yep, let's do it. Let's bring up the green square.
I would say that's more of a teal square. I don't know.
Minty. I'm looking at a minty green square. Jords, are you there?
I am here. How are you guys?
What's up, man? We're
good to have you here.
We're all on board with flipping Sol on this stream. So hopefully we get it done.
I think it happened. No, I got some screenshots on Twitter. I think for a brief moment in time, everything was well.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, the market is healing.
Obviously not a market cap thing, but a weird milestone in a way for crypto. So
I think it's just kind of discombobulating a little bit, Solana has been, I feel like it traded at $83 for months and months and months, and then Hyperliquid just kind of kept on trending up. And I mean, seeing them both in the 70s just feels kind of weird, but usually you only feel weird about prices for a few seconds and then you kind of adapt and it's just the new norm.
Yeah.
Jords, the elephant in the room here is obviously Hyperliquid is an increasingly growing elephant and Solana is a decreasingly decreasing one, but Bitcoin is really weird, really, really weird right now. And, throughout the last few days, the discussion has all been about, can Hyperliquid, Zcash, Near, and for the sake of this conversation, we'll focus on Hyperliquid. Can it continue to sustain its performance despite a Bitcoin downturn? We're seeing it hold up. Bitcoin is seemingly finding some sort of semblance around the 65 mark, but people are thinking Bitcoin's going to go lower, and it puts, Hyperliquid in question. How do you think we react to these market conditions?
Yeah, it's never fun to have to kind of deal with the big boys. I remember many times when you have exposure to weird tokens that look really strong and have a lot of power in relative strength, but then Bitcoin rolls over or Saylor tweets or Elon sells or something, and all of a sudden your relative strength is kind of meaningless. But I think Hyperliquid's a different beast. I think we've seen this whole year that trend happen kind of regardless of overall market trends. And I think that you've seen relative strength to the upside and relative strength as a kind of in parallel with downside as well. And I think that just comes from I can't really speak about the ZEC and Near strength. That kind of confuses me more. If you kind of look at the Hyperliquid tokenomics, you can at least rationalize, okay, well, market going down. I think Bitcoin had one of its biggest liquidation moments a couple of days ago. Those liquidations go towards buying back Hyperliquid, and you kind of see the price balance out a little bit. And that kind of, in my head, that always gives me comfort, when everything is going down, you go, okay, well, if it's going down in big moves or up in big moves, then that's going to feed back to the token. And I think you see that, and then you have that, and then you also have the seemingly infinite twap that continues to happen onto it, and you think, okay, well, this is pretty trend resistant. So it's comfortable, right? I'm a big fan of having my money in comfortable places, and I can't really think of a more comfortable place for it to be in right now.
It is cozy. It is cozy. You have some fans here. James says Jords with 3 S's. Actually, we got this guy in the chat today who's been pretty hardcore on us. He says, convince me hype isn't GMX 2.0. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I think there's this whole narrative that people like to put things in boxes, and it usually means they miss out on genuine new innovation, right? Like people wanted to put Solana in a box of, it's just another L1, it goes down, it breaks, it's just the, L2s do the same job that Solana is trying to do, so why would I ever bother using it? And then you also have, you have these narratives all the time that come, and people compartmentalize them, and those that aren't curious get punished by not being able to kind of go outside of their village, as it were. So you have that situation happening with Hyperliquid as well. You have the people who missed the airdrop, and they have immediately gone, oh, well, I've missed the airdrop, I'm late, I'm not interested. And then inevitably from $2, like the people who didn't get the airdrop have had opportunity every day for the last 2 years because it's at all-time highs, right? So that's how it works. Like the opportunity isn't behind you if the token continues to accelerate. And then I think you have a lot of people doubling down and then tripling down and then quadrupling down on this same thesis that it's just a DEX, regulation's going to come. I wrote a lot about this the other day, where people like to kind of convince themselves that anything other than their bags are bad and then their bags are good. And they do this in very weird ways. They say that regulation is coming, and governments are going to be more stringent about regulating finance in general. And that's why I hate Hyperliquid and I'm long Zcash, because privacy is the future. And you just kind of can't have both of them, you have to have an objective mindset on either. And I guess I haven't answered your question, but the question is Hyperliquid just the next GMX? And the answer is no. Obviously you have the DEX element, which is incredibly good, and you have the tokenomics, which is incredibly good. You have literal disruption to global finance. You have Bloomberg reporters in my DMs asking me what the fuck is Hyperliquid. You have
no way.
Yeah, you have these. This is a genuine global phenomenon. Even if it gets hacked by North Korea tomorrow and goes to zero, it doesn't delete its importance to global finance right now. You have the Nasdaq and the S&P. Like all of these guys are looking at Hyperliquid on the weekends, and you're seeing. Like the biggest catalyst was Trump invading Iran, like after hours on Friday afternoon. Then the world looked at Hyperliquid for crude oil prices. And that since then has just kind of compounded. And that's the DEX side of things. But then you have the L1, and I'm still a big believer that Hyper EVM, people look at that and say, oh, it's a dead L1. Nothing's ever going to happen there. That's a problem that Hyperliquid have. But unrealized potential is not a problem. It's an unrealized opportunity, and that's how I always see it.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat here that is kind of on that point exactly, which is from New Type Trader asking about what some of your favorite apps are on Hyperliquid. Are you using markets or a different mobile-first trading app? Obviously, Trade XYZ is huge, and probably the most prominent app, if you want to call it an app, on Hyperliquid. But on the Hyper EVM side, or just generally, what are some of the things that you've been paying attention to?
Yeah, so that's what really interests me, right? Like I was kind of early on the Solana ecosystem, and I was aware of what was going on. I was trying things and being curious, and there was a lot of user-based apps, right? Like you could try Magic Eden, you could try Phantom, you could try Jupiter, Orca, like these things you could use and you could try. Hyperliquid is really in its infancy with that side of things, right? You have Hypercore, you have Trade XYZ, you have Unit, Kinetic. Those are like the things that everyone knows. But since I've been kind of schizo posting on Twitter and trying to talk to all the teams building, there are really interesting protocols being built. and they all face really unique problems, and they have face unique benefits as well, right? And the constraints that is still on Hyper EVM, I still see as an opportunity, but they are legitimate constraints because the team is very much focused on Hypercore, and they're doing a phenomenal job at that. And there is a little bit of uncertainty of what is next steps for Hyper EVM. But there's a lot of people obviously building front ends and different things in that end. Like you have Pair Protocol that make trading pairs very convenient. I quite like their front end. And then I don't know, the teams that I spoke to, I don't know how much I can like say on different things, but there's a lot of people building stuff that I had a call with a guy earlier who is trying to kind of replicate some fun things that have happened on Solana and different ecosystems. And I'm a big believer that there's a lot of people right now who are interested in Hyperliquid and just want to click buttons and try things, but there's not a lot of stuff to click right now. And there's really not a lot to do if you don't identify as a trader, then it's really difficult for you to embrace the Hyperliquid ecosystem right now. But I am a believer, and based on the conversations I've been having, I think that changes quickly. And the other thing that I spoke to some teams and they've said that people are very willing on Hyperliquid to try things for that exact reason, right? So if you do have like a demo or a survey or something on testnet, you get very high participation rates. So you kind of deal with this weird problem where you do have constraints from the layer or like the chain level, but you have a whole host of users that are extremely excited and ready to click things and not a lot of competition. So I think it's going to be one of those things where everyone views it as a problem, and then one day you're like, oh fuck, it's like Hyper EVM season and there's a million things happening and like I'm behind because I wasn't in front, you know?
Dude, I agree. And that's what happened on ETH and on Sol is you got like the L1 asset rips, right? And then you get kind of like this wealth effect, this spill down. This Nest exchange, it's kind of MetaDex Aerodrome fork thing is flying on Hyper EVM, flying. Kinetic looks great as well. So there's a question from the chat here, but I'm going to add an extra layer to it. Long-term price target for Hyperliquid. Of course, you're going to get asked that. Just kind of like, talk us through like what you see as like the bull cases, like the moderate case, maybe the bearish case, and then with that in mind, like I think your Twitter bio says like retired or something. So what do the Hyperliquid whales want to do, right? Like, are they the type that are going to go and, put millions into Kinetic, put millions into ecosystem assets and try to like really create this wealth effect and the spillover in this kind of like Hyperliquid season? Do you see it kind of like as like just staying sticky and hype? Where do you see like bull, moderate, bear case? And then how do you see the spillover of the capital into the rest of the ecosystem?
I'm gonna start with going on a random tangent, as I very much enjoy doing.
Sick.
I have a friend who's a surf instructor, and I remember trying to plan in advance like this dinner with him, and I was like, when are you available? We'll grab lunch, and my girlfriend's gonna be in town, that kind of thing. And I said, when are you free? And he said, oh, high tide. And I said, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, come on.
That is sick, dude. He was Australian for sure, right?
Brazilian, actually.
Brazilian, okay.
And I said, okay, fine. I'll see it high tide. And I think when people talk about price targets, I kind of think of that. Like I am looking at an ideal situation and when I want to sell that is so different to what other people would kind of look about, like how they would assess the situation. Like for my personal situation, I would really enjoy selling in like Q1, Q2 next year. And there are times, like there's been times over this past 2 months where I've been like, oh, this is accelerating at a quicker rate than I kind of even wanted it to, because I want to sell next year, and if this thing just keeps compounding at 10% a day, like it's got to top at some point.
Tough life, man. Tough life, Jords.
It's hard out here, bro.
Making millions a day. Hey, really tough, man.
Hard on these streets. No, but I don't know. I think that I had the thesis in my head when it was trading at 25 to 32 or whatever it was, that it wasn't worth looking at until it was over 100. So that's still kind of in my head, but I really didn't expect it to. I didn't expect overall conditions to be this bad, but I didn't expect Hyperliquid to have this much relative strength. You know what I mean? Like relative strength to the upside is one thing, but when Bitcoin's gone down 20% and Hyperliquid's up 40, you just don't really calculate those kind of things when you look at a trade. And I think a lot of people have got this completely wrong as well, because they were directionally right about the market and were like, well, Bitcoin looks like shit, it's going to go down. And they probably didn't think that, they thought that that was going to give them a better entry at Hyperliquid, right?
Yeah.
It just hasn't. And I think you have a lot of frustration from objectively good traders who are directionally correct just getting rinsed because they haven't got their entry.
When you see that, how do you, like, what is your emotional response, right? Bitcoin down 10%, hype up 40%. Does that concern you or excite you? Do you buy more? Do you like, what is the response to that?
Well, I think it's like that kind of Thanos meme. It's perfectly balanced as everything should be. It's kind of, my only portfolio is Bitcoin and Hyperliquid. So I'm equally sad about Bitcoin and euphoric about Hyperliquid, you know? So it's kind of this perfect balance achieved. But I don't know. I mean, it obviously concerns me, right? Like it's the classic meme of if Bitcoin's over 80, then quantum isn't a problem. If it's under 70, then, you know, quantum needs to be the focus and rates need to be cut. So I think it is, I mean, it is concerning. It is just generally concerning how poor a lot of the representation of crypto looks from the outside in as well. Like you have Tom Lee and Saylor just doing really unserious things. So it is concerning. Like you want, like I think in the past you look back and you think Bitcoin leading a rally is always healthy, and that was what was healthy over the last cycle.
It was forever, man. Not just last cycle, forever.
Yeah, forever, right? And I guess you don't want to be the kid. You never want to be the guy saying new paradigm. So I'm like, I never.
Different, right?
Yeah, I never ever want to be that guy. But maybe, just maybe, it's like it never works out for those guys, but maybe it might work for us.
Or at
I don't
least
know.
just like, I think a fairer way to look at it is like some assets bottomed faster than others and entered their ended their bear market faster than others. Maybe, right? Like perhaps this is a signal to the market that the Bitcoin's bear market is ending or in its ending stages. I think that's how I'm looking at it. Is like, this wouldn't be happening if Bitcoin had another year of bear market left. At most, I think end of the summer into Q3, October range, finding like that would be like 4-year cycle to the T, right? Like October low, like that's it. So like my read is less so like new paradigm, more so like, okay, Bitcoin's bear market's coming to an end, maybe longer, maybe lower, but of course we're not used to seeing this type of price action, right?
I would love a world where you have kind of crypto is the greatest casino, right? I would love a world where the global blow off top is everyone decides like, okay, AI, all these valuations, SpaceX, Anthropic, like they're trading in trillions. And here you go, well, there's one place left in the world.
There's one last rotation, one final pump, boys, I promise. After this, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone's rich, money's getting thinned out.
I
and
think
you
that's
just
what's
go
gonna
like,
happen.
this is the only market left that is depressed and has a discount relative to its potential upside. And just like, that's the dream.
If we get Anthropic IPO, OpenAI IPO, SpaceX IPO behind us, it's August, September, Bitcoin's still at like, if Bitcoin's in the 50s, for example, right? Dude, the same investors in those trades that are gonna get, or those deals that are going to get their liquidity are also esoteric alternative investors because they wouldn't be up so much if they weren't. And so they will look at crypto and they'll be like, well, shit, I mean, now that I'm rich, what do I need to do? I need to put my money in sovereign store of values. So I'm going to go buy a bunch of crypto. I don't know.
The houseable finance,
like
baby. That's the trade.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, at least that's like that's the idea. Jords, tell me if I should buy Zero. I don't think we're going to answer that. Great Arrested Development reference, flawless. Nice.
Thank you.
Jords, what about your take on Per? the DAT. We had Capital Flows on yesterday. He was like giga bullish, like gamma squeeze coming, call options is the only place to get upside on out of the money calls on hype. There's no other way to buy options on hype with size. Strikes are going higher on per up to like 23, 24. There's a combination of flawless execution, of Hyperliquid becoming the house of finance, of this gamma squeeze, and this is the most asymmetric way to get exposure to hype. This is our biggest position. We think this thing's gonna fly. Could pull a GameStop style squeeze. I'm in. A lot of our audience is in. Excuse me. What's your take there?
Look, one thing that has served me well is I generally like to stay in my lane. I'm not gonna put on a cap and pretend that I mean, even the words gamma squeeze, like
I know.
Yeah, I kind of get it a little bit, but I'm not gonna pretend like I have a full understanding of those terms.
I totally feel you, dude.
And I think there's it's like that. What's the line? It's like liquor, leverage, and ladies is like the only ways you can kind of fuck up a market that only goes up and to the right.
Yeah.
And I think that, yes, there are legitimate vehicles that people can use to outperform to the upside. And if you are, it can be really beneficial to learn these things, especially if it's kind of a curious way to interact with the market is always a fun way to do it. And you can learn things like, even if you lose money. But to me, I would just rather hold my coins, stake my coins, and sell them when I believe that they're at a good price. And I'm a simple man, like I just, I would hate to be directionally right and poorer because of the investment vehicle I chose.
Yeah. Keeps me up at night.
When you're thinking about high tide, like I take it that, it's dependent upon the moon and the stars and the gravity of the world and whatnot, and very metaphysical things, as is high tide as it relates to the markets. And so if you're thinking through this, and sometimes it's, you don't really know it until it's there, I'd imagine. But, with some of these conflating factors, these converging, you have the regulatory environment, saying that perps are going to become available, become regulated and legal in the US. You have, you have the co-founder and CEO of ICE, owner of the New York Stock Exchange, saying that Hyperliquid is bigger than the NASDAQ, right? Let me, you have HIP-3 volumes continuing to rise. You have HIP-4 coming online. All of these things starting to compound and converge. How is it a feeling? Is it like, how do you ultimately put these into perspective and say, okay, now it's high tide?
Yeah, I think that historically, I've been very good at selling near the top. I usually sell early. Like I usually would sell earlier than others, or I sell early and then buy back and then sell early again. But this time I'm feeling pretty content in just being very happy. I think there's a general rule in a bull market that you should never sell with the intention of buying back. And I think that I pretty much have that same with the current prices of everything. Like you've got Bitcoin in the 60s down like 40-50% from the top, everything else as well. If you're buying and you're entering at prices that are like if you've got your entries already, then you should just kind of do nothing. You know what I mean? Like if you don't think these are the highest prices that you see ever again, then just doing nothing is going to probably outperform, and focus on kind of unit count, right? You want to focus on how many hype tokens you can get or how much ETH you can acquire. I mean, don't do that, but how much like of the tokens you can own. And I think for me, it's a feeling. It really is kind of I think over time, you see enough euphoria and you see enough depression, and you just get the kind of internal understanding of how you react to things. Like when things are really depressed, like almost where Bitcoin is now, where it just starts to feel really, really like it's over, and it's kind of that pit of the stomach, maybe I'm going to go broke kind of thing. That's usually when depression hits the kind of bottoms out. Yeah. And the same is true with the top. I think you have obvious signs of mass capital being raised super easily. Extraction campaigns are very obvious and easy. You have people who are just saying like really deeply unserious things, but believing it. And I think the only way to train for that feeling is to, when you're in the midst of it, really like sit in it. You know what I mean? Like if it's the worst day ever, 10-10 happens and you're just scrolling the timeline, instead of being depressed and losing, you just want to really sit in that feeling and understanding of like, this is what this looks like, because it will happen again, right? It's just psychology. And it's the same thing as when like Trump coin gets launched and everything's completely euphoric. You want to sit in that feeling and understand how you feel in that situation, how other people are behaving and everything. And then you can kind of go, oh, you know, I recognize this before. This feels like that other time. And usually it kind of works, you know?
Yeah. You're much more prepared for that feeling again, and you sort of have the self-awareness to react to it with action rather than indifference.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to be able to recall your Hyperliquid over slot. See, that's crazy. Like, that is crazy.
Yep. I'm about to pull it up on the screen here. We flipped it. Ladies and gentlemen, we flipped it. We flipped it, and we're going to keep flipping it, and it's not going to go back.
Next is market cap.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your... wait, please finish that take, and then we should talk about hype market cap, because people are a little bit confused about that as well.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, like, you want to clock... And it's the same with life in general, right? Outside of trading. Like, most of trading, most of investing, it's just psychology and controlling your own greed and all those things. And I think it's just really helpful to be able to know how you respond to certain things, like how you behave in certain situations and how it feels, so that you can replicate them or identify them in the future, right? Like if you cannot sleep when you have a perp position live, then you shouldn't do that. Like that's a lesson you can learn in the present for the future. And I think it's the same with recognizing when things are overextended, when things are depressed. Like obviously I have a group of people that I go to as a sounding board. I go, hey, you know, gut check, where do you think we're at right now? And those people have a track record and they've served me really well. And I usually will look for confluence between them. Like I think looking for confluence between the smartest people you know is always a good stepping stone. Like I always will, in times of depression or euphoria, I will kind of nudge some people and go, hey, you know, we've been here before. What do you think? And if they all go, actually, yeah, looks like we've topped, then I kind of pull the trigger if I'm part of that confluence. But a lot of it is just figuring out how you respond, you know, like how I feel when everything is absolutely bottomed or up the top is probably how I'm going to feel next time as well.
Well, Jords, you are a prophet and a scholar, good sir, because we're going to pull the screen up and our price is officially higher than Solana here. So, guys, it's official. Hype has flipped Sol in price on the roll-up stream with Jords on. I mean, is that not a sign?
Providence.
I don't know what that sign is, but we need an NFT this moment. If NFTs are back, it's because we've got one of the largest hype bulls on the stream with hype flipping Sol in price. I mean, look, not to be a TA guy here, but like, where does this thing go?
This is the yearly chart.
This is just like ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, but I remember for months, right? Like January, February, I was away, like spending some time with friends, and I was like, oh, bro, like you gotta buy Hyperliquid, right? And it looked bad, right? That there was a time where I remember one of my friends who I made buy it was like, man, I'm so tempted to sell this thing. Like it's fucking going nowhere. Like there was a joke that it was up 3% every day, but it stayed at $38 for months or something. But I really believe the signal from the Coinbase and Circle announcement was the one, right? I think you've had multiple chances to really go, okay, I objectively take back where my previous position was and what I believe to be true is now invalidated, and now I'm going to enter. And I think a lot of people had that, like, well, you know, if only this box was ticked, then I would enter. Oh, well, the risk is too high here. I'm going to wait until that end. And then you've just missed. And I think a lot of people can learn the lesson now of looking back and going, oh, actually, you know what? I'm okay with not buying it under 30 because I was uncomfortable about regulatory things and whatever. But in hindsight, the signal at 40 when Coinbase and USDC signed onto it and the team once again doubled down on returning value to the token, okay, you know, that's when I should have bought. And next time I'm going to be more objective about my bias and I won't make that mistake again. Like, I think a lot of people would be better off learning the lesson than staying mad. But most people will just continue to self-justify. And then you have this horrible moment when you go from cautioning against risk to actively campaigning against a coin as if it's like your enemy. And if you're
because
ever...
you missed it.
Because you missed it. And when you get to that mindset, you want to see other people lose. Like, you want to see... Like, there are people out there right now that want Hyperliquid to be hacked. Because that's like, you know, you get what you deserve. You took too much risk, whatever. And that is just terrible. Like, you should never be in the mindset that you want people to lose billions of dollars and the industry to have another mark on its face. Like, you should just never, ever be in that mindset. But a lot of people have got there, right? And I think that shows the power of kind of it should have been me syndrome. And I think people are just much better off looking back at the mistakes they made, because objectively, something that's gone up, you know, 150% in 2 months, yeah, okay, you don't have to get that every time, but you can look at that, say, okay, that was a legitimate opportunity. I missed out. How did I miss that, right? That's how you actually move forward instead of just getting stuck in the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, you're right on the signal, though. Like, I mean, just from a little bit of like my journey, I mean, we were in since the day one launch, right? Literally like minute one, day one. Literally, like I remember I had a dinner in Hong Kong with like a bunch of VCs who were all like, if this thing launches, you know, sub $5, sub $4, which is like 4 billion, we're gonna be like TWAPing 5 to 10 million in immediately. There was like 4 different funds that I was at dinner with just randomly. It was a bunch of like you know, like they're analysts and like just like friends, like my age. And I was like, holy shit, I was, you know, aware that this airdrop was happening. I've been trading on the platform. I messed up the terms of service. I didn't sign the terms of service. So I didn't get the airdrop. And I was like, oh my God. It was just like heartbreaking.
Toughest soldiers, toughest battles.
I know. And so I was like, Rob, we gotta get in. And so that first day we slammed TWAP around like that $2.5, $3 mark. And, you know, the rest is history there. And then obviously it's been through 2 of these 70% pullbacks. And it was the same thesis all along. So I had, you know, we had sold some, bought back, sold some. Obviously would have been better if you just held the whole time.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, I had a nice bag going into this move from the 30 range, 30-ish, you know, like low 30s, and not big enough though, like not the size that we once had. And yeah, that Coinbase thing came out. And I was like, okay, I'm way too risk off on crypto in general right now. This feels like the moment, and pretty much just like turned and almost full ported around that level, combination of PER and hype. And I felt this dying FOMO before. I was like, no, I've dedicated freaking 2 years to talking about this thing. I have a decent sized position, but this is not, I was stuck in some uranium trade. It was disgusting. It was terrible. I had to take a 6-figure loss just to get back in. And yeah, it was just that feeling inside of like, no, like this is so obvious right now. And so anyway, not to like, you know, get all euphoric, but it's definitely hard to like take that loss to get back into something that you know is going to happen and that you have like this deep level of conviction in. And I mean, look, today we're at the highest fees in the last 90 days by a long shot, with yesterday being the second highest.
Yeah, I mean, what a coin, man. What a good coin.
And the thing that just gets us going
Pretty
more
good
and more
coin.
is this.
Pretty good
this,
coin.
man. This is just the most exciting thing. Get this up.
Yeah,
there
that and the percentage of open interest for it versus like other centralized exchanges, I really like that as well. Because I think that also reached an all-time high versus Binance or whatever. But I mean, it's up and to the right, and it's one of those few times where you go, oh, okay, kind of makes sense why it's going up a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like even in wider market conditions, you go, oh, okay, well, there's 20 million people, like $20 million getting twapped into it, and then you have The buyback's $4 million a day. It's got a pretty kind of low float. Like the FDV is the market cap circulating, the holders that are holding big bags. Like there's not that many people wanting to sell. Like people like me, I think after the airdrop, you have this unique psychological setup where more people are afraid to sell too soon than to sell too late, which is really important for kind of locking up supply. You also have long unstaking times, like obviously Kinetic's changing that, but in general, people are locked up for 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, but a week and a half. And I think, you just have a really rare situation where you go, I don't want to sell this thing too early again, right? Like you said the same, me as well. I actually wanted to I basically logged off for 2025. So I like got my airdrop, sold it too soon, obviously, but mostly because I was just like, fuck it, I want to log off for a while. And then I came back and bought, and I have less than what I got from the airdrop, right? But you have to look yourself in the mirror, you have to slap yourself and you go, okay, well, make good out of a bad situation. Like yesterday's price is not today's price. And like, I should just forget about that, So you have a lot of people who are like that. A lot of people who have sold too soon. They didn't enjoy it. And now they're like, well, I'm not going to do that again. And you kind of see the result, right? You have a lot of demand to buy and you have not that much demand to sell.
Jords, I got one more for you with respect to the Coinbase Circle announcement. Obviously, and we covered the entire USDH stablecoin debacle. That whole competition was really entertaining to watch.
That was also a big moment, right, Rob? Like that was a clear tell as to like the power of the ecosystem.
Right, to pull in all those names, this request for proposal got interest and attention. It signified, the potential and also the magnitude. I'm curious, maybe you could just unpack the magnitude of the Coinbase announcement, why you find it so important for the strength of the ecosystem and what you think it signals about the potential moving forward.
Yeah, I think it was a signal, right? I think it was a really important moment to it confirmed that when the team is negotiating with big things that impact the ecosystem and impact the direction of the token, they absolutely have the sole consideration of what is best for the token, what is best for the holders, what is best for this thing to continue improving. And you have this the other side, which I think was really, really underscored with this agreement, is how much leverage they have. Like people are really, really interested in getting involved with Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is the one darling shining light of the industry right now. And the many, many teams who started as a DeFi protocol, then went to NFTs, then did meme coins, and they tried to pivot and keep up with what was interesting and were always behind. Everyone's building Hyperliquid builder codes now, right? Like that is the thing that people are going, okay, this is where the money is to be made right now. This is where the capital is flowing, and everyone's scrambling to try and be a part of it, right? Like I spoke to a team earlier today that was saying that they're pivoting from like the Bitcoin ecosystem to Hyperliquid. Like I think you see that more and more where people look themselves in the mirror and go, hey, we were wrong, or we tried over here, it didn't work, and this is where the opportunity is, And I just think that continues. And for me, the Circle and the Coinbase announcement was, okay, these Coinbase and Circle were so excited about the future of Hyperliquid that they're willing to give up pretty much all the money that they're going to make from being on there. You know what I mean? Like you don't do business deals in crypto where you just go, okay, in exchange for us letting you use our protocol, you give us all your money. That's just crazy. And it also was extremely different terms than what every other protocol has negotiated. Like if anything, USDC is the one that doesn't give incentives. You have a lot of stable coins in the Solana ecosystem. PayPal has their USD. Like you have a lot of different stable coins that have tried to build market share, and they give away grants. They give away these promotions and things like that. But USDC doesn't. They don't offer their revenues, and they don't ever offer revenues, maybe in backdoor deals or whatever, but not that just openly flow to a token and are trackable. And they also had to take a $20 million position in Hyperliquid to even get the opportunity to give away their revenue. Like that is an insane deal from their side of things that they only would have signed if they really, really believed in the future. And as the most regulated companies in the US who spend all of their money and time in the White House trying to figure out how to push through legislation and be on the right side of things, that's a massive risk for them to take unless they believed that the future was aligned and Hyperliquid was it, you know? Like, I think that was just, they've done more due diligence than I ever could have possibly. So that really ticked off the box for me.
Yeah. And then, you know, the one thing that you didn't mention was at the, what, it was like interest rates are like 3.75% or 4.25%, something right now on T-bills. That's like $140 to $50 million a year of additional revenue to the assistance fund, which is also like
mental.
And that hasn't even hit yet, I don't believe.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't started flowing yet. And that, like, those are just, that's mental, right? Like that is those are the things that are beginning to be priced in, but they really weren't, right? I remember that announcement came on and it was like, oh, okay, there's $150 million worth of buy pressure coming and the price is the same as it was 2 days ago.
It actually
like,
went
what
down.
Is going on?
It went down on the news at first. Like, it took a whole day or something for like the market to wake up a bit.
I got clowned on actually because I remember I posted, it pulled back like, I don't know, 8% or something to 41. And I was like, oh, you know, I think this is a good entry if you've been sidelined. Like it's clear. I did a whole thing about it. And then I was like, yeah, it looks good. It went back up. And then someone the next day after it went down like 5% hit me with the like update question mark because it like went down. And I was like, man, come on. And then obviously, you know, 12 hours later it's up and and since that it's up, you know, 100% basically. But yeah, it's classic, right? Like you should buy, I think it's probably up this time next year and people 2 hours later, like update.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Jords, from me, BNB, this from Marvin, BNB has great tokenomics. When will it pump? I mean, it already had its pump, you know? I don't know. What's your take here?
I think people really like cycle to cycle darling coins, and BNB and Solana to me had those. They were the darling and they were the one that attracted a lot of capital and they had a big upside narrative and they were able to do amazing things. I personally don't see that upside there for BNB. Like I think if you were to delete other coins and you only had one coin to long, then I think that there will be upside there and there'll probably be, the answer is likely when the rest of the market turns around, that probably pumps as well. But I just can't see, like you want to invest in things that have a dream, right? You want to invest in the house of all finance that can consume the NASDAQ and have a fully functioning L1 out of alpha into beta and can, you know, has a TAM of trillions. Like you want to have the dream, as 7% of Binance can flip Solana, all these things. You don't want to buy something that has already kind of achieved most of the things that it wants to do. Because I mean, I don't know anyone who uses BNB. I don't know anyone who's like actively on Binance chain doing things. Like it had its season of hot ball of money on meme coins and stuff. I think if anything, there might be like kind of a Cope catch-up trade at some point, but it's not on my radar.
Yeah. Jords, thanks for your time, man. I mean, this thing looks ready to go again. So control your euphoria. I hear you also on just, you know, Q1 next year would be a nice place to, you know, take some off the table here, but we'll see what happens. I know this is not a short-term thing for us or any of us, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Jords.
Cheers.
What do we think, guys? Switch half my purr to be hype. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, there's a good point there about like, you don't want to be right on a position and be wrong on the method of allocating. Both good TBH, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, we can ruminate around hype or per or whatever it is for the longest, but at the end of the day, I mean, they both look amazing right now. And the only mistake that I've made is selling hype. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Whenever I sell, I always feel like it's a mistake. That's just like it's consistently been like that since the inception. So
yeah, I mean that's true for hype and very few others.
yeah. No, I mean I hear you. All right, guys, let's get back into it. We got Bitwise CIO Matt Hoogan calling crypto a contrarian bet. So I actually had drinks with Matt the other day, and we both kind of agreed that the next couple months might be a little bit slow, for majors. He's allocated into hype. Obviously, their ETF was one of the most successful ETFs ever, if not one of the most, by trading volume in the first week. But I mean, Rob, for the same reasons that that Alice Kruger kind of said that this industry is failing, I think this is the same take. It's why it's a contrarian bet.
Yeah, there's like a crowd of people out there that they pay attention to Bitcoin and maybe ETH and maybe Solana. And now maybe they're hearing about this funny, weird, strange thing called Hyperliquid and seeing some of the Wall Street Journal articles. And they don't really think about, and then they consider, the rest of after Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and then, maybe they're hearing about hype. Everything else is the 99% of crypto is dead, not coming back, All of that, I think, there's a group out there that thinks that way. And I can understand how anything else rising from that category that they consider dead, anything that's not Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, something rising from that category is contrarian. And so that's, I think, part of why Hyperliquid has caught some people from that group off sides and by surprise. And I could see how there's more coming from that category that would also be contrarian and catch those people by surprise. But there has to be a fundamental thesis reason as to why. Maybe Hyperliquid is one of the only ones, but we know because we're here, there's others that are kind of coming up the rear.
Yep.
To see if they have as much, penetration power into that group of, some of these more institutional allocators remains to be seen. But I think Hyperliquid, kind of bursting on the scene is, going to potentially open a more of a path for others to follow behind it.
Yeah. Per looks amazing, guys. It looks ready to blow as well. Wow. I really took Jords' message about leverage to heart, which is why I then longed ZRO with 4x my net worth. Stop below 1.16.
Wow.
Inshallah. Wishing you the best. I see Roll Up number one hype podcaster now. Kudos, Andy and Robbie. It's been like that for a while. I feel like, these guys have, we've been bullish for a while. I think a lot of podcasts missed hype in a way. Why is Arthur buying WLD? What is the story behind it?
It's because Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, is also the co-founder of WorldCoin. I don't think there's anything greater than that. I think there's three narratives and three narratives only right now, and it's privacy, AI, and revenue. And Hyperliquid has revenue, and Zcash has privacy, and Near and Venice and WorldCoin have AI. I think that's it. Anything with a strong, and people are going to try to tie themselves to those categories, but there's really only few that have been like that from the start. Near, Venice, WorldCoin have been AI related or AI at their core for their entire history. So and then you have the blockchain, not Bitcoin, not token, camp. But obviously, as far as what you get exposure to, privacy, revenue, and AI are the things with the most attention, and those things are in an attention bull market.
Definitely. Perps is kind of like the revenue category. Hypermeet has been exclusively covering Hyperliquid since March 2025. That is an amazing name of a show, Hypermeet. Do you guys ever have the team from Fogo on the roll-up? I don't
believe so. This last question from Jingo. What do you think about Nillion? Believe it's a Good Idea Ventures portfolio company, which is the Rollup Venture Studio. Blind Compute kind of straddles both privacy and AI. Andy, what do you think about Nillion?
Token is just been destroyed. So, I mean, it's at the lows. It's, I don't know.
I believe they had a change in their CEO.
Yeah. I don't think we've sold any. So
it had a massive pump.
Yeah. We haven't sold any, man.
About a month ago.
But we don't hold, we're not like looking to buy that thing right now. I wouldn't say. I'd love to come on a chat, HL. Yeah, dude. Super down. Hit us up. What do you guys think of ICP long-term? Javid, man, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're going to like my opinion. That thing launched at $250 billion market cap in 2021, which is like ETH market cap right now, or like a little bit more than ETH market cap right now. And yeah, it is down only. I don't think it's that interesting as an investment. Again, like I think there's a couple really, really strong assets right now. I think the trend is your friend in these things, and I don't really see the need to try to go pick winners off of a long bear market and try to be a hero here. So I'm not trying to be a hero buying all these random things off the floor. I'm trying to just be selective and pick what's working. So that's where I'm at. I'm just a chat on the internet, but I sold ICP when I became aware of the hyperinflation, its subject own T. Yeah, again, these types of things you don't really want to see or have to pay attention to. And so that is my ICP take. Let's move on into this Bitfinex video from Paolo. I guess Bitfinex removed trading fees entirely, and Paolo is the owner of Bitfinex, so Tether owns Bitfinex. Haven't really heard much from these guys since they had their Leo token that flew.
Remember the Leo token was because Bitfinex got hacked and they used that token to patch, like basically repay user funds.
But there's still lots of bag holders of ICP because of BitBoy. Wow. And the wild times. Tau, VVV, near good alternatives.
Oh, yeah, calling out Tau. What is Tau doing these days? Obviously had the rally, but got...
Yeah, I think that Templar subnet situation really took the wind out of Tau's sails, unfortunately.
Yeah, otherwise I could have seen it benefiting quite a bit from this AI rally.
Is it moving at all?
No, not really.
Damn, it's down.
Yeah.
A lot. Yesterday was an ugly day for Tau. Yeah, I mean, even that one, guys, like, I don't know. We had these guys come on the show a couple months back and they were super bullish and we were excited about it. And then
Templar.
Yeah, Templar happened and it kind of just changed the whole thesis.
That entire ecosystem just had a drag. It was like Tau's 10-10 when Templar left.
All right, let's play this video from Paolo. Let's see what he's talking about here.
We did some calculations on our side. We saw that the exchange would remain extremely profitable. And, from once, if you have an exchange, it was never the case. We never had, negative fees for market makers. But if you need to pay some market makers and then you have to charge the retail, so you have anyway net to zero. So we calculated that in our case, we're not subsidizing market makers. We were not charging high fees to retail. And in the end, fees like trading fees were negligible in the grand scheme of fees of Bitfinex profitability. And so we removed them. The volume went up. Actually, we acquired so much more user base, and our peer-to-peer lending market grew. It's like several billions in the peer-to-peer lending market. And so the efficiency of the system just grew incredibly well. So was the right decision. I believe that many exchanges will follow our path in the future.
Yeah, Bitfinex, huge backers behind Stable. Yep. Totally forgot about them. Stack Team. Yeah, man. I also have not used them or really seen. Their claim to fame was like 2017 to 2020 era. They had a huge run and they were up there. Paolo and Tether, I think, basically acquired them. And yeah, that Stable token has been flying.
Really?
Yeah. Like, why is Plasma, not getting any bid, but Stable's just up and to the right since launch, like literally up and to the right.
Oh, wow.
Launched at around $1 bill, trading at $4 bill now. Like it's just crazy. Yeah.
And Plasma's not doing much there.
No, Plasma's just down.
It's up 10% today. Oh, yeah, but it's down from where it launched bad. 10
Yeah.
cents. Remember when that thing was above $1 pre-market?
Yeah. Stable up, baby. I think new types. Yeah, he likes the show. I think he's in stable clearly. That's funny.
Yeah.
Damn,
Well,
people are tweeting about the Zcash vulnerability like it's actually real. Not great. I didn't think it was real.
Infinity Hedge put out something about it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's holding the line. Zcash got $600.
Oh my gosh, the hype TWAP right now is insane. I'm gonna pull up my screen. Wow.
Yeah, Infinity Hedge, Zcash network down, not produced any blocks in the past 4 hours, according to multiple block explorers.
Yikes.
And then there's
But I don't think that was real. I think that was. I don't think they had their sources right.
couple update. I mean, they made a couple updates to that original post, but the update was that it was experiencing degraded processing. It's expected to remain impacted for the next few hours.
But when was that post at?
5:30 a.m.
I think it's fixed up all now. Yeah.
What's the TWAP looking like?
Oh my gosh. 18 million the next 24 hours. 2 million the next hour.
Wow.
Insane.
You know,
man.
so Andy, I'm about to hop out of here in a couple minutes because I got to catch this flight. We're going to be live from the Connecticut Digital Forum with a bunch of hedge funds and asset managers. I'm pretty excited to hear what they have to say because they've got cash. This is a different crowd than we typically have on the show. And look, what are they thinking? I mean, this is kind of the crowd that I think, Matt Hugin and Bitwise, that's who they're talking to, and they call crypto contrarian bet. What are they looking at? What do they have on their radar? Like, who are they watching? Because, and how aware are they of Hyperliquid? I believe they're probably, they're probably aware of it. Are they allocated? Are they sidelined? What is their...
Yeah, or any of these things, right? Are they just looking at Bitcoin?
Right. So
guys, tomorrow we're going to go live earlier than usual. Also, we have a new upgrade to the show look and feel that you guys will see tomorrow. But we're going to be live around like 10 a.m. Eastern. And we're going to be going from a conference in Connecticut. And it's really like a hedge fund oriented conference, AI, hedge funds, this type. And yeah, it's gonna be very, very, very like TradFi kind of vibe. So should be interesting to kind of run the usual programming from there, and have that be like this, like the setup. So
last thing I'll leave you with. General reason for thinking alts can do well even with majors looking terrible is that I just don't think people own them anymore. I think a lot of capitulation has happened with altcoins over the past 3 years. People rightfully so chase stocks and have been up only. Now there's only a few protocols with real tech and decent narratives behind them, but they're still severely under-owned by everyone. Man, okay. So,
I mean,
we're seeing things hold up.
Bitcoin is just crashing more, man. Just can't even find its way above 60K.
Nope.
Not great, guys. Not great. Guys, we've got the co-founder of OR. I'm going to take this one solo. Rob's heading to the airport.
Have a good show.
OR is a leading privacy project on Solana. Hardhat is the founder, or one of the co-founders. And we're going to have him on talking about what is going on with their privacy project. It is a pretty low market cap asset. And pull it up. So, or it's had a hell of a run. Down quite a bit today, but it's had a hell of a run since year to date. Let's see. Yeah, it's done extremely well. It's done extremely well. So We're gonna get Hardhat up. Hardhat is in. Welcome to the show, Hardhat. Chad, the founder of OR, a pseudonymous founder, lead developer, and foreman of OR, created OR in early 2024 during a Solana hackathon as a Bitcoin-style proof-of-work mining experiment. What began as a viral project has become a focused ecosystem centered on fair launched electronic cash, privacy, immutability, and quantum resistance as a long-term store of value. Hardhat, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it doing?
Going well, man. Congrats on the recent success. You guys have been doing amazing work. It's been looking, just watching from the sidelines almost it's been great to see. And man, we wanted to bring you up because it feels like this is the kind of combination and confluence of privacy, quantum, all coming together. Maybe just a bit about your background, a bit about what OR is, and let's get into it, man.
Sure, yeah. I appreciate it. It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs, but we really focus on every day making sure the community grows, at least by one person. So I appreciate you guys having me on and letting me share our story here. So I guess right off the bat, I was listening to some of the podcast, for a few minutes before hopping on, and I kind of agree with you guys about the there being three main narratives right now with the privacy, revenue, and AI. And so I guess I should say, if you take away nothing else from this chat, you should probably take away these two things, which is that OR has the largest privacy pool on Solana at the moment, larger than Sol, larger than USDC, and the OR community is really, I think, gone to the next level to try to, increase the anonymity set of that privacy pool as much as possible, and make it sort of the de facto privacy option if you're trying to move volume privately on chain. And then secondly, the protocol kind of consistently ranks like in the top 10 daily, revenue, and 100% of that revenue goes back into token buybacks. And so I think those two things, probably along with a number of others, but those are probably the two headliners that is why OR has been attracting a little bit of attention recently. That and just it's like 2 years of ups and downs and shared trauma. So everyone's trying to share the story.
Yeah, man. I mean, okay, so talk to us about how OR makes money. How are you guys able to fund these buybacks, and then how does that what is the level of the programmatic nature of the buybacks?
Yeah. I mean, so fundamentally, I guess even before getting into the revenues, like the idea for OR was to create this kind of like alt SOV, Bitcoin type native asset to Solana. And the way we got there was a little roundabout. Like I had spent quite a lot of time digging into Bitcoin like 2 years ago, and I was a little disillusioned and frustrated, primarily with the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of Bitcoin DeFi available. And also just that, like 99% of Bitcoin transactions, they don't get processed and settled by the network that Satoshi wrote about and built. They get processed on Binance and Coinbase and Robinhood and these exchanges. And it just felt like, I don't know, the coin was more dependent on the financial institutions that Satoshi wrote about in the white paper and, wanted to replace than ever before. And I thought at the time, like, okay, well, the way to solve this is, well, let's bridge Bitcoin to Solana and try to bridge as much of it as possible. And the more I dug into that, I just kind of couldn't buy into the idea that was long-term, like the right architecture. And for a few reasons that, probably aren't worth getting into, but the idea occurred to me like, well, Bitcoin's just this computer program, essentially. And we could likely rewrite that as a smart contract on Solana and freeze it. And that would get us, quote unquote, Bitcoin on Solana. and so it would obviously be a different token, like different social network. And that's, all the trade-offs that come with that. But those core kind of technical properties of like this fixed supply asset with a programmatic issuance curve, and you have some sort of proof of work mining mechanism, it would be interesting to see how that performs on a chain like Solana, where you have fast transactions and you can scale and it's performant, and you have DeFi and you can sort of scale self-custody. And so that's where the idea came from, and what ultimately, the V1 version was designed to be. And and it's gone through a lot of iterations since then. I think a lot of the mining mechanics, the way we actually do issuance, is very different today than it was then, and those redesigns were largely driven by a lot of learnings from running that proof of work system, and kind of gets into the revenue story a bit. But I just sort of wanted to lay the groundwork because I'm sure a lot of the viewers aren't familiar with the mission and vision.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up your site because there's a lot going on here, and I'm not really sure what's going on here. If you look there, you can see the site there, and there's boxes and numbers and mother loads and times remaining, and there's 8 seconds, and I feel like I need to do something. What's going on here?
Yeah. So this is what we call grid mining, and the way we designed this was, OR was proof of work, like real true proof of work, for about a year and a half on the initial issuance curve. And the problem we kept running into with proof of work was like twofold. One is that the emissions were just highly concentrated to like basically two parties that had way more hash power than anyone else. And so we weren't seeing this sort of like distribution that we wanted to see for the token, where the original idea was, anyone should be able to mine from any device, like on a phone or a laptop, and participate. So we wanted to make it as user-friendly as possible, but there's just like a very asymmetric distribution of resources when it comes to like real POW proof of work, and so that wasn't working. And there was also this real value leak, where the money that miners spend on electricity, they buy electricity with fiat, and then they earn revenue in crypto. And so naturally, the miners have to sell their crypto back to fiat. And so there's this kind of like fundamental value leak in all proof of work systems, even the proof of useful work systems, frankly, where like the value that the miners are spending on sort of electricity to generate those hashes or generate those proofs comes out to the value of the token. And so for what we were trying to do, the grander vision for OR, that just kind of seemed like a fundamental flaw. And we all kind of took a step back as a community, and we're like, well, how do we redesign this emissions curve? And we ended up coming up with this grid system. And the basic premise here is that, even with POW mining, like every hash is a chance, at winning the block. And so there's a little bit of a game of chance here at play. And so there's a bunch of different ways you could redesign that game of chance that try to plug that value leak, such that the value that miners are spending on their chances of earning the token actually goes back into the value of the token as opposed to leaking out of it. Okay. So that's kind of the concept. And what's happening on the grid here is just you have a 5x5 grid. There's 1 minute rounds. You could think of them like 1 minute blocks in the Bitcoin world. And miners are deploying SOL across the grid to essentially prospect for OR. And then there's a random number system that sort of distributes OR rewards to the miners, kind of proportional to how much SOL they deployed. And there's some obvious gamification aspects there with like the mother load, with big payouts and stuff. But essentially, it's meant to be a more fun and user-friendly, accessible way to get into crypto mining. People have been having a lot of fun with it, and the revenue ultimately for the token is driven by a fee that the protocol takes on that.
Got it. Okay, and then on the shield component, you can send your tokens privately to another wallet, and this is okay. So you can do private transactions across all these assets.
Yes, yeah, we partnered with a team called Privacy Cash, who, to my knowledge, is like the largest and most active shield pools on Solana. We partnered with them. We set up 2 privacy pools, one for OR and then one for a token we called Store, which is a liquid staking token around staked OR. And the staked OR pool is the largest on Solana that I'm aware of. And essentially, you're able to stake your OR, earn yield off of that, and then a lot of users then sort of deploy that OR into the shield pool so that you can continue to earn yield even while contributing to the anonymity set.
And then so the quantum resistant nature is in the proof of work algorithm. How is this quantum resistant?
Yeah. Well, it's not, the quantum resistance is not in the mining system. This was like a feature we just released a few days ago. Mainly, actually, it's more of a proof of concept than anything. There's definitely a lot more we want to do in terms of the UI and making it more accessible. But the goal really was just to drive more discussion on Solana around quantum resistance. And so this was building on some work that another developer in the Solana ecosystem, Dean Little, had done to, essentially what he built was a 2 of 2 multisig where one of the keys is quantum resistant, right? And so the idea is that like you can put your tokens in that multisig, and even if your regular Solana key pair, the elliptic curve key pair, is compromised, you still have another key pair that is quantum resistant and is unlikely to be. And that's kind of the general premise of the product we had launched. It's right now just a very simple kind of command line based tool, not super user friendly, but we felt the need to do it because, I don't know, Or has always been trying to push Solana forward and push the UX forward and the security forward, and this just seemed like the right natural thing to do to continue the discussion. So, yeah.
And then on the token and revenue kind of buyback side of things, what do the revenue numbers look like, and what is the estimated like daily or weekly buybacks?
Yeah, if you go to that Explore tab at the top of the page, there's a table there that links to all of the buyback transactions. And so you can see if you scroll down,
buybacks, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're buying back every hour, multiple times an hour.
Right now, yeah. Blockworks has like the aggregate data.
Okay.
And it fluctuates day by day, I should say. Like it depends on kind of how much Sol miners are deploying into the mines, because that influences the amount of fees that the protocol is taking, and then the amount of Sol that gets deployed to the buyback system. But I think we just crossed, if I'm right, it's like 50 million total buyback volume.
Wow.
Since launching this new grid mining system last August.
Wow.
So
congrats.
That'd be the total over the last, like 8 months or so.
And it's just 100% programmatically to the token. No funny games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah. I mean, that's where we're at as an industry. I mean, this is it. We're showing a screen of revenue and buybacks on the screen. We're talking about privacy and quantum. You guys are like hitting like all three of these kind of core topics at once. Yeah, man. I mean, what comes next? I was just looking at the token. It's at like $100. I don't exactly know what the market cap is. But what should we be excited about for, what's next? Market cap's at 45 million. FTV and circulating is 1-to-1. What is there to be excited about coming up?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest things we're working on right now are what we call a V4 system. So this current grid mining thing is what the community will understand to be V3. And the V4 will make this a little bit more accessible and sort of reduce the chances that people get burned. We find we're trying to basically plug all the holes, in the onboarding funnel, and we find that like a lot of users get caught up in the mechanics of the grid and the game, and run into too many questions there that they're not able to see the larger kind of non-fiat vision, and so we want to plug those holes, and so that's what our main development focus is on right now, is simplifying that grid mining game.
And so you guys made $50 million since inception in revenue, bought it entirely back in the token in less than a year, and you're trading at $45 million market cap.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Am I missing something?
Well, I mean, all the data's on chain. Yeah.
Dude, what am I missing? What is the market missing?
Yeah, you have to ask the miners. I think the miners have a lot of, the OR community has a lot of ideas there. There was a big thesis that, I'm going to blank on the name. One of our community members put out just yesterday.
You've got a ton of them in the chat right now.
Yeah. They might be able to answer.
The market's missing here. You know, Austin from Relayer Capital has been early to a lot of these tokens that people are getting excited about now. And he's been telling me about this a ton, and this is just by the numbers. I don't know what we're missing. What is the market you're going after? Like, what is the comparable, or what is like the market that you're trying to tackle essentially?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this like alt SOV idea for probably 2 years now. And I remember 2 years ago getting kind of laughed at on the timeline because I suggested that, within a decade, there'd be a coin larger than Bitcoin. And, in my mind, that also means it could be a stable coin. Like I'm very convinced that within 5 years, we're going to have, 5 coins larger than Bitcoin by market cap, and they're all going to be stable coins. But longer term, I think like once you get that stablecoin liquidity on chain, then all your sort of non-fiat currency, non-fiat store of values can actually compete on like the same playing field. And that's where things get kind of interesting from the like cypherpunk sort of sovereign individual, crypto origins perspective, is that like you really need these assets, the non-fiat currencies and the fiat currencies to be able to compete on a level playing field and on crypto rails. And right now they're just not. And so I don't know. The grander vision here was to try to like return to crypto roots and scale self-custody and create an asset that like we were excited by. And a lot of the OR community consists of a ton of like Bitcoin OGs that were around like back in the Bitcoin forum days. And we all kind of like, I don't know. In general, I think the OR story is like we all took a step back and we're kind of like, if we could redesign this token, this protocol, this asset, like from scratch without dependencies, kind of, greenfield development, like blank whiteboard, how would we design it? And OR is kind of the outcome of that discussion. So, yeah.
Wow. And you guys decided to throw a little chat feature on here just for the memes, huh?
Yeah. The community in there.
But it's pretty funny.
Yeah, the community in there is pretty fun. It's just social. Like these store of value, all of them, whether they're gold, Zcash, Bitcoin, to me they're a social network, right? They're like kind of a belief system, and every extra person that buys into that belief system adds some marginal value to the other holders. Yeah. And so we try where we can to grow that social network.
Well, Hardhat, I mean, market's missing something here, man. This is screaming raging by to me. So thank you for your time. Thank you for building this and showing me around. I really appreciate it. And I really just wanted to get this done because I felt like this was something that our community would appreciate. And we've been just hammering on revenue. We've been hammering on just kind of like seeing things from a very pure fundamental perspective and trying to think about the market from a fundamentals perspective, like more than ever. So this is awesome. I mean, we got people in the chat saying that the market is sidelined. This thing's going above 1,000. Miners chat is awesome. Oreheads, please post the CA. Marvin says, Marvin's one of our lovely community members here. Aob Khan, what happens to the soul deployed on a losing block? I think that's a question for you, Hardhat, as we close out here.
Yeah, right now a portion of that gets collected by the protocol as the fee, and then the other portion of it gets paid out to the miners in that winning square. Some of those mechanics are going to change in the V4, so that your downside loss won't be as bad, because we want to reduce cases where miners are losing everything. But right now that's kind of what happens in the current V3 system.
Got it. Hardhat, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing this thing grow.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Cheers, buddy. Best of luck. I mean, guys, like What is the market missing there? I mean, 50 mil revenue in 10 months, $45 million market cap, doing things all along privacy and quantum. I mean, the only thing that I think is like maybe people are like not excited because it's on Solana. I don't know, but I don't know. Like, what are we missing? So, yeah. I mean, what a show today, guys. I mean, wow. Jords comes on and just bull post hype to the moon. Things about to break 74. Per looks fantastic. Bitcoin can just please hold above 60K or 66K just for like a couple of hours, please. And we're going to get party time again. I mean, we talked about, just wow. Just wow. Guys in the chat, thank you for being here. It's been fun. As always, you are watching The Rollup live from the Empire State Building. Absolutely beautiful day today. I mean, it is sunny. You got Jersey down there. You got Brooklyn down there. We are in the 77th floor of the Empire State Building. We'll be live again. As I said, tomorrow we're going to Connecticut. So we had an early day tomorrow. We'll be streaming about 10 a.m. till about 4. And we're going to be interviewing, for the most part, hedge funds, AI investors, robotics leads, kind of like larger scale, different types of folks from funds, investment managers, and more. So that'll be all day tomorrow. IOB says to the moon, or Zcash a blessing. Rocky, great show. Thank you, man. See you tomorrow, bright and early as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching The Rollup live from the tokenization tower, the Nest, broadcasting live from the financial capital of the world. We love y'all. Same place, not the same time. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., we'll be live from Stamford, Connecticut, on the ground at the University of Connecticut campus with a ton of hedge funds and owners. As always, guys, let's go Knicks. Game 1, baby. Game 1 tonight.